1, 2,
Standing
go.
by. You know it.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody, you're listening to and possibly watching the Comic Book Bears podcast. I'm Bill Zanowitz,
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
and we are your hairy, heavy homos that talk about comic books, but you don't have to be a hairy, heavy homo to listen in. We're coming to you with our post-Heroes wrap-up, and you'll notice that we have 4 squares instead of 3, and that's because we have our good friend Brian joining us. Brian, how's it going?
I'm back. Can't get rid of me. Doing good.
Good,
Great to
good,
see y'all
good.
last weekend.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was great. That was awesome.
So, for people who may not be aware, the Heroes of which we speak is Heroes Convention in Charlotte, and the 4 of us attended last week, and it's one of the few times we're able to get together with certain folk, and it was a really good time. It was I don't know how many numbers. I don't even want to think about that because we've had past Heroes weirdness with wheelchairs and COVID and
yeah.
all sorts of weird stuff. But but I thought it was one of the better ones I've been to. It seemed.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
just seemed the
And I heard-
layout was fine. The air conditioner, which isn't always reliable, was working well,
Yes.
on the floor. So,
It
yeah.
seemed like more people were there on Friday than there have been
Mhm.
in the past.
Yeah.
Because usually
Yep.
Friday, you're just like, breezing through the wide aisles with, not bumping into folks. And it was pretty packed. I don't know when y'all went in, but Hassan and I went in a little after it opened. And the line to buy tickets was wrapped around past the entrance.
Oh, it was,
doors.
all the way down the block.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I heard it took 2 hours if you were buying tickets Friday.
Yeah.
Whereas, we all picked up our wristbands the day before so we could just walk in.
Yeah, we Steve and I were up on the second floor watching the line
You saw
come
us
in.
walk in. You texted us
Yep.
as we walked
Yeah,
in.
we
I
saw
see
you
y'all.
walking in.
As you were being yelled at by one of the security people, backpacks off. There are 2 lines. Backpacks off. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, and I guess it was because the backpacks were getting caught on the spokes.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah.
why? Okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think I do remember Caleb actually walked in with me and Hassan because we'd been standing in the sun for 10 minutes and Caleb just moseys up and I'm like, hey, come on with us. Right when we get to the door.
Yeah, they snuck me in.
Yeah.
It's good to have friends in line.
Mhm. Yeah.
But no, so I felt like the con was really well laid out as well this year, because there's been years past where it felt really condensed. I don't know if they just had more vendors or space or whatever, but it felt like it was crowded. There was good attendance, but it also the flow went really well. Like I did not feel bottlenecked in any way. You could actually walk down the aisles. If people were stopping to talk, you could get around them fairly easy.
I think one of the things they did last year and continued this year, I think it's Felix's group is all in that
Yep.
corner where the Mystery Machine and all that is in
Yeah.
Claremont. They moved them off the artist alley and put them all the way back there by Fuck Ecto 1. So it's not as crowded in that area anymore. So you can get
Yeah.
around a little bit.
I love that Brian was like, in the back where they keep the Mystery Machine and Chris Claremont.
Yeah.
Fuck Ecto 1.
Yeah. Just for some background on Fuck Ecto 1,
Almost killed us in
previous
2022.
yeah, we got cut off by Ecto 1.
Not just once. That
to a
bitch
restaurant.
about ran us off the road trying to go get barbecue. And Steve's over there posing for pictures on it.
Yeah. Yes. Well, Steve wasn't almost killed by Ecto-1, so I think that was.
Well, I was trying to break into it.
It really changes your relationship with the car.
It does.
And y'all, I've seen it here in Nashville, and I wanted to run it off the road one time because it was here for a convention.
Well, and there's got to be multiple Echo 1. So I feel like one Echo 1 has offended us, and we're like taking it out on just a small class of car owners who did nothing wrong.
I've never been to North Carolina.
Who are you? Why am I in a headlock?
Why are you yelling at me?
But yeah, I personally, I loved it. I thought that there was just a really great, a great feel to it again this year. I think it did was a really good crowd. Like everybody else, I noticed Friday was busy.
Mm-hmm.
As it like talking to a lot of the creators, talking to the vendors, they were pretty impressed. They actually did make some good money. Most of the ones I talked to anyway, made some good money on, on that Friday, which they don't usually expect that. They don't expect the crowds. They don't expect people with their wallets open that early. But yeah, there's some good stuff. So I think people were more than willing to part with their coins pretty early in the weekend. So yeah, pretty awesome stuff.
I also really like this catch up because there's kind of like a split between the four of us here. Mm-hmm. In that Steve and I are when Thursday comes around, we're still in Winston-Salem. Yeah. So we're not part of the initial initial hellos at the bars or everything like that. And then the Friday dinner, you guys, Brian and Caleb went out with the 11 o'clock comics folks, and Steve and I went to Bear Happy Hour. So there's these like natural splits a little bit. So it's like we're still kind of hearing about stuff that happened from each other. I
do feel like the four of us saw each other, at least from my perspective. Y'all saw each other more than I did. I saw you guys less this time than normal between Baltimore or even here. And it's funny because there was less of our, overall larger group, the people that we hang out with, but I just didn't, we usually have lunch or dinner or something at some point, and we didn't. At one point, I thought we weren't even going to get a picture of all four of us together.
Yeah. There was a lot, and that was the thing. Like, I felt like there was just a lot of ground to cover this time around. I mean, it's the same size as it was last year, but it just feels like there was more going on. I don't know. Yeah. But we also...
It did feel like there was more to look at.
Yes.
Well, and like even booths that were the same size for certain vendors, it seems like they brought more this year.
Yeah.
So, well, and
but you can still get a lot of Savage Sword of Conan. That was still everywhere this year.
But not Marvel Comics Presents.
No, not Marvel Comics Presents, unfortunately. Yeah, so I was going to say the only complaint I have, which is not a complaint against HeroesCon, it's a complaint against vendors, is that, 2 out of 10 vendors have their stuff in any semblance of alphabetization. And
it got worse this year.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Well, and like I'm kind of in the middle, right? Like I'm not one of those guys that just like lives for men diving, but I'm also not one of the guys who abhors it. Like I'm somewhere in the middle. If you make it reasonably accessible, like a nice flow, you're polite. I'll dig through some boxes. I've got like 30 long boxes in my attic. I don't not collect shit, right? Like, but you have to make it to where it's some type of feasible, because especially when there's 4 or 5 people right there on top of each other and you're flipping through stuff and there's just the most random assortment of things that's not in any semblance of, put together. I'm just going to go, I've got enough friends at this con that I would rather go talk to my friends, right? Like, that's free because we all paid for admission. And so it turns me off of doing bin diving. I know I sound like a bitchy old man yelling at a cloud, but just like, man, like you got to make it a little bit functional. Or
if I'm going to like a $1 bin or something like that, or $2, I can deal with them being out of order, as long as But if I'm going to like,
there's like $5
everything's out of order, like fuck that.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead. But yeah, I mean, one of the booths we spent a lot of time. And again, I don't want to badmouth any vendor here because I think most of them had a pretty good setup, a pretty good layout, and everyone was really nice. You know, the people who, the thankless job of manning a vendor booth at a con, especially a busy one, is, you know, you're stuck there forever.
Yeah.
Like you can't get out, you can't get away unless you brought a friend, and then, you know, but I think Ultimate Comics, they're actually out towards Raleigh and Cary area in North Carolina. Those $2, $3, I think they started out as $3
Started
and
as
went
$3,
down
ended up as $1. Yeah.
as one.
Yeah, I think, was that the booth that had a mark the first day, Friday $3, Saturday $2?
Yes, yeah, it was
I
like all
that.
big.
I thought
Yeah,
that was great.
Yeah.
they and I like that. I appreciate that. But early on Friday, everything was out of order, except for Nexus. I was able to find all their Nexus books in one box, but everything else was kind of just, you know, good luck.
Did y'all notice, Caleb, you were gone already, but Steve, Bill, I don't know what you did on Sunday, but I've noticed the last couple of years, there's no deals to be had hardly any Sunday afternoon or even pushing near the closing.
Not as
There
much.
used
I mean,
to be, but
like,
not
yeah, there
anymore.
used to be. Yeah.
Like, get
But
here,
no-
take my shit for like $40
Yeah.
kind of thing.
I
Yeah.
know
Except
Steve, you were picking up some boxes or something that somebody didn't want to lug home, but like
Yeah.
as a deal on a hardcover or something or comics, no.
One of my last purchases was a deal. One of my last purchases while Steve was getting his, what do you call that?
My file boxes.
Your file
yeah.
boxes, yeah. The guy like quickly put 20% off on everything, but it was like 5:00, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, you don't see that. The one I used to love so much was when Dark Horse went at half price at New York Comic Con, and like all of a sudden you like can't get near the Dark Horse booth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to love that. Love that. And you just like keep your eye on something to make sure it wasn't gone. Like for me it was the Grendel Omnibus editions.
Yep.
They're a little smaller. And I was like, God, 1 through 4 better be there. They just better be there. But God, I don't think Dark Horse has been in New York Comic Con since 2019.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a while. A lot of the big publishers pulled out of that show.
Well, and that was the thing here too. I mean, Charlotte doesn't have all the publishers setting up tables. It's not that type of con either. But as far as just like product and things, I felt like, you know, those type of collections that you were just talking about, or even omnibuses and stuff, that is really well represented there too. The con in general has a lot of that, but Brian, I don't know about you. Like you look for omnibuses and stuff too. I don't feel like there was as many of the omnibuses in this year as there were year past, but I felt like there were like different collections that we haven't seen before.
There are certain booths where I know where they got them, where you bought that typo negative thing, but they don't do much on deals. And I'm picky. Like if I can get it cheaper on Amazon or in stock trades and have it mailed to my house, I'm going to do it. You know, the being at the con is not going to make me buy something. But there were a couple booths. There's one in the middle section, like a row in. He's always got this huge table of trades and hardcovers, and he's usually got a couple good deals, but there's never been something I've wanted. This year I bought 2 things from him, but they were newer things. Yeah, I'm notorious for not buying anything, and I bought a crap ton for me this year. So much so that I had to repack my bag at the gate because I was overweight.
Oh no. Well, kind of the opposite of you for this. This year, one, I didn't even find the guy who has all of the big deals on trades until like probably Sunday morning. I couldn't find him. Must have walked past walked
You
around
walked past that at
section
least 5 times.
At least 5 times before noticing. But I got nothing from them this year. And usually I'm walking away with a stack. And I was like, no, you know what? I don't need any more.
That
right
one
now.
did feel kind of stock. Well, and like a lot of the stuff is the same stuff they've had for like years past. So that was interesting because usually they have like a different selection. This felt like it much felt like back stock. But like on the other side of that, you've got the weird, like just these weird and quirky vendors. Like they had one vendor there that, you know, old newspapers. He had like leather bound, editions of, I think, you know, he had Wolverine Volume 1, but it was all the single issues bound in a volume. Just the most random and weird things ever. And like those are the booths I love. Now, I can't afford those prices, and they're worth it. Don't get me wrong, but like there's some really rare things in there.
Yeah.
But it's just nice to go look at it just from like just the sensibilities of knowing this thing still exists. It's almost like a museum quality to it.
So there was one random booth had a bunch of posters and prints and stuff in it, mostly comics. But I flipped through a table, and Caleb's been to my house, so he's seen. I have Michael Whalen, the fantasy artist, art all over the house as prints that I bought from his site that are all framed and stuff. And he's been doing book covers and fantasy art since the 70s. One of the places had a limited edition matted print of one of his early works in there. And I was like, I did not expect to see that there. I texted my husband. I was like, if this was one I really liked, I'd be bringing it home. But it wasn't a piece that did anything for me, but I was just kind of like shocked to see that buried at this booth just randomly.
Yeah. There were some interesting surprises here, and I know we kind of talked about in our episode, like in the pre-game episode, the pre-show episode, we were like, oh, what are kind of the things that we're looking for? What are the things that we're hoping to find? And Caleb, we know that it was a disappointing. It was a very disappointing hunt for you.
I didn't walk away disappointed in the con. I got plenty of stuff that makes me very happy. But as far as just collecting single issues, that was I whiffed.
Yeah,
hey, Caleb, it was funny.
I bombed with my search. Yeah.
Caleb, I told you before we went in, I said, we'll find plenty of Marvel Comics Presents Weapon X storyline.
Yeah, I found 3 of them.
Yeah. Then literally, like a lot of booths used to would have random other issues. There was none this year. It was just that at every booth I hit.
Yeah, that is same issues over and over.
Before we move on, that is something too. I didn't see as many like single issue collections this year because usually you go and they'll have full runs, like single issue runs.
There were only
any, if any.
I saw 2 booths with it because Hudson and I usually go to them just to flip through and we get show ideas. Or I'm like, hey, you ever read that? Like we do that because it's fun to do the full sets and just look at them.
Well, I'm more likely to buy it as a full set than anything if it's a bigger one.
Oh yeah.
Caleb, I'm thinking about something you said where with the $5 trades or half price trades, that you're kind of seeing the same thing again and again now. And, over the last few years, the dollar bins, however you want to characterize them, newer books are harder to find in that format. They're much harder to find. There's some places that some of the places that are local stores that Steve takes me to.
Yeah.
This is fucking cough. There we go. It just had to come out. There were a few exceptions, but it really seems that, the print runs, or at least what a store will take a chance on right now, don't seem to be as like they were even like 5-6 years ago. So I'm wondering if the trades is an extension of that. I imagine it is.
Well, and also I think, they are ordering, I know from my LCS, what they do is they're ordering based on the known demand when it comes to trades now. So like they'll replace a book. If they sell a book, they'll replace it. And for like things like the DC compacts and for the kids, like the Marvel and DC kids line of, specialty, digest size or like trades that they have, they order those, but they're not really going for a lot of the, multiple copies of a lot of the other trades that Image is putting out, for example. Like for the DC, like the Absolute collections, they'll order multiples of those because they know that they'll fly off the shelves. Yeah. But when it comes to the other stuff, they're just not taking the chances anymore because.
Yeah, but the unfortunate thing with that is too, and I get why. In those shops, I'm by no means telling them how to run a shop. I have no idea. They run on razor thin margins. All I'm saying is from a consumer experience, if somebody like us we travel pretty frequently and we do get to stop into some of those shops, it's always nice when you go into a shop to see something different, something that gives that shop character, right? And when it's all the shops that have the same copies of Savage Sword, the same copies of just, X-Men, Claremont, just in the same things, because they are based on that. I'm guaranteed to find, Nightwing by Tom Taylor. I mean, it's just going to be there. It's one of those things, but I can get that at every single store, and I have a lot of that stuff. Like, where do you have that's different that I can walk home? That I'm willing to put in my carry-on back home. And for some degree, I mean, you have the stores that will specialize. They'll carry Fantagraphics hardcovers, they'll carry D&Q hardcovers, and things like that. But that's as far as superhero stuff, it is cool when I walk in and find a Marvel collection that I'd forgotten about, right? Or that isn't the same 20 books that I see all the time. I'm more likely to go home with that than I am those other things that I find everywhere.
And again, a collection of older showcase ones.
Standpoint, dealers, I understand you make the decisions why you do. Don't come at me. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not Matt dropping, hot takes.
There were still plenty of booths with comics. We go to you go to New York, Bill, there's hardly any comics.
There's hardly any comics.
That's what I love about this con. It is
it's also like New York is also a situation where it's certainly not advantageous to bin dive. Even the space just isn't there. And more and more New York is feeling like a trade show, and that's fine. That's fine. We need those kind of shows too.
Did you guys go to Baltimore last year? I can't remember because it all runs together.
Not last year, the year before.
It did not seem that Baltimore last year had as much comics as they did the previous years when I've seen y'all here. So it's nice that Heroes is still very comic centric. Yeah. It just seems that there's been a shift a little bit on what you're seeing there.
Yeah.
One thing I did find funny, they have a lot of the big shops have their walls with all the hot comics. They got the old ones, the key issues, but they'll have the new hotness up there. Plenty of Absolute, plenty of Energon and Image. You know what I did not see on any of them on a hot book? There's not a single Marvel.
Yep, not a single Marvel.
Yeah, that's true.
Is there any hot Marvel right now? I don't think so.
No. And that just really spoke to me when it clicked. I was like, because you see Absolutes all over this con.
It was Absolute was everywhere.
Variants, all of it. And all the Energon stuff.
And we've talked about this before on this show. There is something very endearing about Absolute that it seems most people want to buy it in single form.
Yeah.
Which it's nice to see. We all trade weight or whatever to certain degrees in certain capacities. But it seems for some reason with this line, even if it's like a 10th or 11th printing, people like to have the single issues for Absolute for some reason.
Oh, and the variants are out.
They're just fun. Who wants to wait?
I was going to say, number one, you're absolutely right about the fact that there's just not a Marvel hit book right now. The best thing at Marvel is just lukewarm, right? And there's good stuff at Marvel, but it's not fire. But the other thing, though, I will say, I think that there would be all the Absolute stuff there anyway, just because it is the hotness right now. But you also have two or three Absolute creators there signing. I mean, what's 4?
Actually, 5.
Okay.
5. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
You had
there too.
Should have been 6, but it was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, Lemire wasn't able to be.
Yeah. So this was as far as creators go, a very hit list. Like Hayden Sherman, the line was packed out. It was insane. Like they treated that dude like an absolute rock star, or that person like an absolute rock star. It was awesome to see.
Yeah. And something that Steve and Brian and myself went to was the DC Absolute panel. And you go to some of these Baltimore panels and there's like 7 people there, at times. And sometimes very surprising that it wouldn't be. But even stuff like the Walt Simonson was much better attended than I expected. Yeah, there seemed to be much better attendance at the panels this year.
I feel like this was the first time like one of the big publishers has had its own panel at Heroes, because DC actually hosted that Absolute panel. It was moderated by the editor of the line, had 4 of the creators up there. They were showing press, stuff for the future, images. Like that was a panel you would see at New York.
Yeah.
And it was well attended for Heroes. I mean, the room was not packed by any means. It was about half full. and it was also on a Sunday. That seems like a Friday or a Saturday panel.
I think if they had done it Saturday, that room would have been packed out.
It would have been.
Friday or
and
Saturday, probably,
early in the morning too.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the fact that we had like an actual DC panel, because, you guys and I go to other panels, but they're just random creators that they mush together for a panel there sometimes. Walt and Weezy always have their own. But you just kind of look at it as like Ann Nocenti and somebody else that touched Daredevil at one point, or Weezy.
Oh, the Daredevil one, yeah.
They both were on X-Men editorial. Like they just kind of mash up what they got there.
Yeah.
But this seemed like an actual DC created this panel, or they were going to be there, so they did the panel.
Yeah, I mean, I do appreciate those panels. Like I saw the Daredevil one too, and I am not a Daredevil reader. That's not my bag. But seeing Ann Nocenti there with the new writer Stephanie Phillips, as well as two of the previous artists on that, it was kind of interesting hearing them talk about it. But again, like you said, these are just like, okay, let's make a Daredevil panel because we've got a couple Daredevil creators there. Let's make a panel about DC in the 80s because we've got several of the guys that are here, so we'll just put them on a panel together and talk with them. But that kind of stuff can be fun. It also can be a great chance to sit down and get off your feet and not be walking around. So I do appreciate those panels as well. But yeah, that absolute panel, I really hope that they do more in the future, because I think that kind of announcement type panel, that kind of like superstar type panel, really does bring a lot of people a lot more interest to that aspect of the convention.
Well, it brings some buzz to the panel itself too, or to the con. Yeah. Because, I've been seeing news coming out of that panel for the first couple of days after that are directly tied to Heroes, which wouldn't have had that press before that.
Which that's not the first time they've gotten the chance to do that. I mean, what was it, 2 years ago? They did the Bitter Root stuff up there and announced the new book and everything, and the option and all that fun stuff. So they're able to make news every once in a while. It's nice to see that it's at a scale though that you can really kind of still experience it.
Yeah. Okay. I think last year's the biggest announcement was like the bad news, or the bad idea panel.
I can't even remember if they had one. I think.
Oh, well, they did. They had a bunch of new titles that they were releasing at the beginning of this year. They were talking about then, but.
Steve, Bill, I'm going to be a little bit of an ass about that panel, though. Did you guys notice the dude 2 rows in front of me? I think you guys were like catty corner from us. There's this dude sitting there the entire time with his camera up. It's just a panel of 4 people that do not move the entire time. And he took like 500 pictures.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is worse than being at a concert where everybody's just videoing it. I'm like, these people aren't even moving. They're not doing anything. And you're taking like it was just annoying for an hour.
Brian, he's an independent journalist. He has a blog. He has he needs to block your views.
He's an influencer.
Like literally, if he was at least broadcasting on Instagram or something, I would.
Oh my God, you guys! Since Steve and myself spent 0 time at the Westin this year, did you guys do bar time and any bit of the auction? Or
I did a little of the auction, and the bar is a little different than it was in years past. Like last year, it had changed. I think I did the bar really Thursday night, and then popped in off and on, but not extensive time there. And the auction pisses me off, so I end up leaving about an hour in, if I make it that long.
The stress level there. Was the same person up there screaming about the same shit again?
Yes, it's nails on chalkboard to me, and I just can't deal with it. Now, and this year you couldn't go up to look at the pieces if you had arrived not in a certain time period. Because usually you can just go up and look at the wall and look at all the pieces. Oh, no. Like, we got there about 8:30 and they still haven't started, and I just wanted to go look at the ones on the right-hand side of the room. Start to go up there, and they start yelling at me to get away, and I can't look at them. And I'm just like, well, F y'all.
I'm waiting.
I was going to buy all of them, but I'm taking my millions and leaving.
That queen, because part of me, I really wanted to have my Pretty Woman moment. It crossed my mind.
Oh, hey, we've got we have somebody joining us. Our good friend John Runyon has popped in. Rock stars, says John. Well, thank you. We do try.
And John has gone in the past to HeroesCon.
That's where I met John.
Yep, absolutely. And I also imagine Bill flipped through every box of backstock twice.
Not really. Not really. It's like
just once, maybe
just
twice.
the one that I really concentrated because I was just finding gold was the Ultimate Comics. That one I went through everything because it was you go through and there'd be 90s issues of Alpha Flight and then there'd be a 12-cent Flash. It was so random. But no, I didn't. But John was also bore witness that I did not get to a particular box with Silver Age Blackhawks. And just watching the guy taking them and put him in his pile, and I'm inside I was crying,
just crying.
Was your blood pressure up, just wanting to tackle him to get him away from that box?
Well, it was just God, it was God
those
damn
were
it,
mine.
If I had just shifted this way first, but we went to another, it's that kind of random stuff, but
yeah. But yeah, I mean, with the bar this year,
but Brian, it was very frustrating because
because
he won't love you like I love you. Yeah.
Of all the times, he could have gotten all those 5 minutes before in this long period of the con, and you would have never known that they weren't there. But to see the person pick the comics that you were actually wanting is so frustrating.
No. Well, you were talking about the auction, which of course the few times that I've gone, it's the noisiest, most uncomfortable, loud, hot, people yelling at you, people having to yell in order to be heard by you, that kind of thing. But it's always a great place to meet people, and, chat with people you don't usually get to see too often. But, the bar, even though it was a little bit different this year, and I think they also have the revamped restaurant as well.
Yeah. And that's where the bar is.
Yeah. That's where the bar is now. Okay. Yeah. But I heard that was a good place to, to meet some interesting creators and,
they're still around. They're still around. I know Scotty and Tony and a whole bunch of them were back in there. So it's still kind of like it used to be. It's just a little different arrangement, and there's some side rooms you can sit in and hang out with friends, which is what I usually do if I'm down there. So
So we were able to kind of hang out. I was able to talk to Scotty for a brief moment there. We were in there when Hayden Sherman and all of the DC crew were over there hanging out eating, and they weren't guarded off or anything, but don't be a dick and go over and introduce somebody's dinner, because I saw several people kind of do that. I'm no. Sanford Green was there. I chatted with him a little bit. We always have a fun time talking together. It's always weird because I love Bitterroot, and I read Bitterroot when I was in law school, and I remember when I met Sanford. Every time I meet Sanford, the only time I see him is after I've had several adult beverages, and I'm just half drunk going, "You got me through law school with your comic book. Thank you." So he's a sweetheart, though. He puts up with me. And we chit chat a little bit. But yeah, there's always that fun thing, the fact that the Weston's right there. Walton, I walked in and Walton Weezy Simonson were just hanging out in the lobby. I said hi and just kind of went by. And so that's what's cool about that, is you are very close with the creators, but you can be because the people aren't dicks. And that's the thing you have to remember with that. That exists in that microcosm where you can, you might ride an elevator up with, Roy Thomas just randomly.
Yeah. Duranko several times I've been in an elevator.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't say shit to him, but I know who it is.
You'll be very close with them, and you can say hi. They don't care about that, but you just you don't accost them. And I feel like that's not a thing that could happen in any other place. Where Hayden Sherman, a great example. Saw Hayden Sherman in the lobby several times, waved. Kind of had those niceties. But it wasn't weird. There are other cons where I feel like if it got out that Hayden Sherman was in the lobby, they would get mobbed, right? There'd people be there and be like, "Hey, sign my 5 variants." Don't do that.
And that's another thing. For some people, they will spend their entire show getting autographs. The entire show. And I've never been You know,
But
I
it's got to be a
will say this
speculation thing,
happened-
right? They're not keeping those.
Yeah.
No. This happened to me several times when I was at creators' tables this time, and it usually does not. But there's always that dude with a short box and a stack getting signed. And
Yep.
I'm like, if you're going to do that, go when there's nobody there.
Yeah.
Or if there's somebody behind you, get a couple signed and then stand to the side and let them have their interaction. And then you come back.
Yeah.
But no, they got to monopolize a table for like 45 minutes, getting their 30 issues of whatever signed. Like, it's so infuriating.
Well, that's why some people have the rule. I mean, some people will be like, hey, I only sign X number of comics at once. After X number, you have to go get in the back of the line and come back through. Like,
I see more after I do 2, you're charged, and they're still shelling out the money to do it, which is great. I'm fine with that, but I'm just like, please, like, there's nobody, like, let somebody talk for a minute, and then I'll go about my business. But just be polite. But yeah.
Well, I mean, we were talking with Steve Bryant, and I want to say it was on Friday or so, where he was talking about there's a couple creators just around the corner from him, and a few of those creators, like the people who wanted stuff signed, would start wrapping around. The line would start wrapping around, and unfortunately would sometimes block some of the other creators' tables.
Yeah.
So, eventually they did fix that and just had the line sort of through the center. But even still, like, there's the chance that they're going to be blocking the end cap tables as well. So it can be kind of tricky. And, that's why I think over the past several years, they've been really good at figuring out which ones are going to be the crazy creators who will get so much, interest for signing, and putting them separately, like putting them in that back area, with the big names, the John Romita Jr.'s, the Chris Claremonts, and now, of course, the Scott Snyders and the, Hayden Shermans and all that. So, but still, it's a con. You're going to have people who want to get all their stuff signed, so they can throw it on eBay or whatnot the next day.
That's a part of the culture, it kind of goes with it. So,
yeah. But you still get to see those great creators. You still get to see all the dudes who are like lining up for Tula Lote's latest art book, which is always fun. But yeah, there's some really great names there, and it's still good to see a bunch of great people. So, but yeah. So is there anything that you really, really wanted to see this year, but either couldn't get to it or just forgot?
I
don't think in terms of programming, no.
I was about to say I could say something really dirty, but no. At the actual pod floor, no.
I know what you were gonna say.
Yeah,
I also know his initials.
No,
I don't. Yeah, there wasn't anything. So honestly, here's what was interesting. I fully went into this con because I knew that y'all were wanting to see some panels and stuff like that, but I kind of fully went into this con with this notion that, okay, I'll go for a little bit because I wasn't trying to spend a whole lot of money, was really just trying to see people, but I was kind of inclined to get away from the con and actually go see some things in Charlotte a little bit away from everything. And I didn't do that. Like, they kept me at that con. There were things that I was more interested in, which in years past, there's been moments where I would have loved to have just gotten the fuck out of there. I was just kind of bored at that point. I didn't have that this time. So I mean, just there were things that could have been done differently. And, that's for me, the single issue shopping was low, but I really enjoyed my time at the con. I really enjoyed my time in the panels on the con floor at the Westin. And I got out a little bit, went and ate and stuff like that. But I didn't take that walk to go see parts of Charlotte that I hadn't seen before. Sorry to Charlotte. I'm sure it's a great city. I've never seen you outside of the convention. I would like to someday. I thought I was going to, but they gave me fun times. So,
Yeah. I do have to say, like, and again, I always have to, say thank you to Carla Southern, who's one of the organizers there. She is always good to us, to the Comic Book Bears every year. But I think Sheldon Drum has been, and his team have done a really good job yet again, because this is year 44, I think, of this convention. It started in 1982, and it's been going, solid since then, with the exception of COVID, of course.
And it almost happened even in 2020.
It was close to
they almost made it happen, yeah.
Because there's that hope that, like, okay, if we push it a few months, maybe. But
the tickets actually did go on sale. And I think they just moved everybody but I think by something like April, they stopped
had
it,
to,
and you just got credited for 2021 or something.
Steve, do you ever go to MiniCon when they do it?
I have been to the MiniCon before. It's really fun. It's actually in a sort of like a sports athletics complex for
I
CBCC,
love those
think.
shows. I love those shows.
So
They
when
used to
I
have
went, it was in the actual convention center. It was just in the smaller part of it. They didn't have the whole floor open. It was the year, I think before they did 40, it was closed for COVID, but they did the MiniCon in the fall.
I was there. I was there at that one. Yeah.
That's when I
was
met
really small.
Brian and Rick down there before we all went to the big Heroes later.
Yeah. No, that one, and usually what they do is they do tend to have it in the sports complex, and it's cool because there's the spectator seating all around, like on the mezzanine level.
That's what Garden State Con used to be like when they had it in a ice hockey rink.
It reminds me of the old, I'm sure Bill's going to some of those old hotel comic book shows that you can find every now and then.
Oh, we still have
a big one of those.
Yeah, there's a Charlotte convention. There's a Charlotte comic convention group that does it 3 times a year, and they also do it at sort of like the hotel conference centers. And those are fun. They're just 1-day shows. Just come in. They have like a kids cosplay contest, and just a bunch of vendors set up, and not really any panels or anything usually, but those could be fun. And Charlotte, I think, is able to support multiple conventions a year, but of course this is the big one. So. But next year, though, get your tickets early, June 11th through 13th next year. This is actually, it's a week earlier than they usually have it. They usually have it on Father's Day weekend. And I'm wondering if that played a role in it being much more attended this time around. I don't know.
I think they've been playing with that date the last couple of years because we've had multiple friends go book thinking it's Father's Day weekend, not just this year, but previous, and be like, oh, shit, I booked tickets and didn't even look at the date. And I'm like, how do you do that? Yeah. But there's been a couple of times
we're not going to say anything about people
where it has not been
to.
Father's Day weekend.
Let's not talk about booking dates.
So fun thing happened on Sunday morning when I woke up, and I was wondering why am I not able to go ahead and check in for my flight? And it just kept telling me, well, you have to do it within the 24-hour window. And I'm like, it leaves in 4 hours. What are you talking about? Yeah. I originally booked my flight on Monday morning, and I also booked the hotel to Monday until me and my roommates all got together and like, oh, everybody else is leaving on Sunday. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll save a day, get home. And then never adjusted my flight. So
I can't make fun of you because I did the exact same thing last year, except instead of leaving Monday morning at 6, it was Monday evening at 6. And I was like, hell no.
I was able to adjust my flight to later in the day and get out for $8. Not a big deal. And apparently I got out just in time because all hell broke loose apparently later with storms and stuff. We had friends whose flight got canceled. They didn't get home until like 48 hours after they expected to.
Right.
It was, so there was a lot of delays and stuff going on.
Yeah. Those tornadoes and the heavy storms out in the Midwest, all that stuff. So it was, you got out at a good time, but, and also, and to be a bit selfish, we got extra hugs from Caleb, that we weren't expecting on Sunday. So that was, we were very grateful for that.
No.
Extra Caleb hugs. But yeah, so do we want to kind of show off a few things that we had, that we had found? I mean, we don't have to show up everything, but we can show off some of our
geekettes.
Our con geekettes. We're having them early, but then we'll have like little geekettes later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Brian, being our guest, what did you find at the con that you were really, really excited to show off?
Okay. Well, I told you I stopped by the booth with all the trades. This is the heaviest thing I got this weekend, and it ended up in my carry-on because it was going to be a ton, but this is the complete deluxe edition of Strange Girl. It is a brick. It is the only Remender collection I was missing, and it was half off. Usually these are like, you can get them 30-ish% off, maybe 40 if you're lucky. Half off. I was like, I got to get it. Same booth. I also got Spectators, which Hassan and Brian keep telling me is wonderful. So
Yep.
I had to read that. Then Bill beat me to the table, apparently, but I was Sunday like, where's the Tomorrow's table at? I usually see it.
Yeah,
and I
it was
have
a
not
little
seen it.
bit further in than it usually
Yeah,
is.
they even
Moved because
said
of
they
the
kind of had
lines,
them
yeah.
pushed to the side a little more because
Yeah.
usually they're in that back section, but kind of central. But Bill, I do not know if you went through their $5 box, but I did.
I did not. I picked up an issue of Alter Ego for like $2 at another booth, but I spent so much on that damn Crisis book that I was like, you have enough of my money.
I have that coming, but I spent like $30 and got like 5 or 6 different things, but most of them were half off. But one of them I got was about Superman and Batman, but it also covers Justice League 200, which we're covering on our show later this week. So I was like, oh, I got to get that. But it was fun because I picked up like 5 or 6 back issues, one of which was on the X Babies, so I had to get it, and they were half off. You know, we are. I think we were talking about it earlier today. We are in a lack of comic book journalism right now.
Yeah.
Just journalism, period. So it's nice to see stuff like that still out there. And speaking of,
you mentioned them, but shout out to the Beat, because for me that is the place that I go to find still like legitimate writing, things that don't feel super clickbaity.
Or AI generated, really,
and not just the drama behind who's making comics.
Well, and have y'all been picking up Comics, the magazine?
No,
I picked it up, but I have not read any of it yet.
Okay, they are great. It is like a much pared down Wizard, like super pared down, but it's comic size, but they're good stories, like good articles in it. There's always a feature. I saw 2 booths that had all 4 of them at it, which usually I wouldn't think any booth would have this, but no, several of the creators have them at their tables, and I thought that was kind of cool.
I'll pick that up. I know Sailfish here in town has it. They carry it.
Yeah, and they had all 4 issues, Steve.
They did, yeah.
They had all 4 issues. Yeah.
Hassan actually brought me issue 4 because I forgot to order it, but then I was wandering just the indie section, and this was the other brick I got. Southern Nights, the guy that created it, had a table. And here's a tip for y'all. Don't buy an omnibus and then carry it around the floor for an hour and a half because your back and arms start to hurt.
I did that one year with the first Marvel Comics Golden Age omnibus.
Oh, yeah.
And
That's
my God, that was I hurting. Oh, boy.
Yeah. So Henry Vogel was there, had them all, had the whole collections in various different ways on his table. I had heard of this like 2 or 3 months ago and almost bought the complete collection on Amazon. And I walked by and nobody was at his table. I was like, oh, that's a thing I almost bought. So I thought about it. I was like, and I said it was $45. I was like, I don't know how much it was on Amazon, but it was a hell of a lot more. I remember that. So I went back by and I just started talking to him and I picked it up and he's like, that's the almost complete collection. And this is a crossover that makes it the complete. So I bought both of them for like $70 off his table.
That's
and then
great.
our friend Tim saw me lugging them around and he's like, oh my gosh. So he went.
I'm interested in how, when you read that, what it's like, because I never read an issue of Southern Nights in the 80s, but they constantly had either the inside back cover or the back cover for Amazing Heroes.
Yeah.
For like a long time, it was Southern Nights bought that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never heard of them until I saw your omnibus, so I was like...
I ran across it randomly just earlier this year, and I come this close to buying it on Amazon. And this was the first, you'll know, I've said it earlier, I hardly ever buy shit at these cons.
You don't. You're really good at spending other people's money, though.
I am. And honestly, I didn't spend hardly anybody else's money for once. Jason was disappointed because he had a number he wanted me to get with Raj, and I did not push him over the edge. But I bought those and a bunch of like magazines, and then our friend Tim just hooked me up with 2000 AD Rebellion stuff because he's from the UK. And side note, y'all, Bill is passionate about this subject. Diamond going belly up and screwing people over and all the court drama. Well, part of the deal, they have the exclusive rights for all of the hardcovers for 2000 AD stuff in the States. So they put them out. They'll put out web exclusives on Rebellion overseas, but then they'll put them here and they were always previews exclusives. Well, I was getting all Nemesis the Warlock and I had 3 of them in hardcover out of the 5, and then Diamond went belly up and nobody was getting the other 2. So Tim got my back and brought those over for me.
Nice.
Because I was like, I cannot have 3 volumes in hardcover and then 2 in floppy. My OCD will just never let that happen.
Yeah.
And then we will talk about this later, but I did go to one of the comic booths that was selling blind bags of M.A.S.K. 1 for $5. And I bought 5 of them because they're usually 6. One table was selling them for like 7 or 10. I just randomly bought 5 and 5 right off the top. Y'all, Hassan and I opened them. All 5 of them were ROM number 1.
Yeah. That is amazing.
You got all the ROMs.
You got all the ROMs.
Rick,
You got
our
all
friend
of them.
Rick got some or later. There was 1 ROM in his stack, but I gave Hassan 1. I gave another guy another 1, and then I've kept 3. But I know Bill has some blind bag stories as well that we will get to.
We'll get into that. Steve does have blind bag stories too, to a lesser extent.
And we
When
put out
I left,
we put out a little video last week too, right afterwards, where we showed
we
we opened them. Yeah.
we did the same with us opening the blind bags and us just going crazy as it's a ROM and another ROM and another. When I left Nashville, my bag was 35 pounds, and I had some stuff for Tim that he sent to my house because it's cheaper shipping than to the UK. When I got to Southwest check-in, my bag was 37 pounds, and I had at least another 15 to 20 in my carry-on. And I still had to take, that big Southern Nights book and carry it in my arm because my purse was about to bust. I couldn't shove anything else in there. I was at 51 pounds and they let me go without charging me extra.
Wow.
That's great.
I hate being that guy opening my luggage at check-in though.
Yeah.
But there was 2 other dudes from the con that were the check bag. They had it filled with comics and hardcovers. I was like, how'd y'all think that was going to make waves? They were trying to get some stuff out of there.
First time?
Oh, man.
I was just laughing. I was like, I'm about to be y'all, but not that bad.
Fun fact,
I mean,
you can
that's
take a short box on, a full short box on as your carry-on.
Well, I mean, technically, I guess you can as long as it fits above
It fits in the
or
squares.
If it fits in the box and a little thing.
It fits in, and I got muscles. I can get up there.
the poor flight attendant trying to what the fuck is this?
Steve, what do you have to show us?
So, who we were talking about last, the last episode, we're like, okay, if we had Grail, issues of something, what would we look for? And of course, in my mind, I'm like, I'm never going to find these comics. Probably not. Or at least if I do, they're not going to be at a price that I'd want to pay. And that was Nexus, the original Capital Comics releases of the first miniseries, which is 1 through 3. And then they had a second color miniseries that was right afterwards. So Bill, right off the bat, I think it was one of the booths, one of the vendors, kind of towards the back side.
And one of the messier vendors.
One of the messier vendors where you're like, okay, how can you find anything in this?
Yeah.
Well, he found Nexus number 2, the original Capital. So black and white, perfect, and actually in really good condition. And then Nexus number 3, and not just any Nexus number 3, but this is the Nexus number 3 that comes with a flexi disc.
Nice.
Where they act out the comic. It's definitely, it's an audiobook version of the comic, including a theme song written by Mike Barron himself. And I am just sort of in awe of the fact that right in the first day got 2 of the Grail quote unquote issues right away, in a 3 for $20. Booth, which was great. And then I also was able to find issue number 3 of the color series that came after, right after, from Capital Comics. So it's here's 3 of the 6 or 7 books or something that I was like, yeah, I'm never going to be able to find them and want to buy them at whatever price they're putting out. So, yay. But I also got, I got a whole bunch of other stuff. I got some extra, magazines from the 70s, some Warren magazines, spoke with a lot of creators and got some really interesting stuff like Heavy, which hopefully we may have, these gentlemen on the show at some point this year as well. I also spoke with Jimmy Gigerich, which I'm horribly mispronouncing, but he had several of these sort of anthology horror comics that I thought were pretty awesome. And right next to him, of course, there was some other interesting stuff here. I just thought, Future Lux. I was just like, oh my God, I love this artwork. It's very sort of like retro future, sexy, smutty kind of stuff, which was pretty cool. Spoke with Sean Ford and picked up one of his books. Bill and I, on Sunday, we went and stopped by Richard Fairgray's table, and he's the one that very tongue-in-cheek with a giant dinosaur. What was his tagline? It was like comics for ladies and gays or something like that, like deviants, ladies and gays. Bought a whole bunch of his stuff, and it is pretty wild. He did make a comment, and hopefully we'll have him on the show at some point. He did make a comment that he got to put his husband's ass on the cover of 3 issues of his comic horror shorts. So that's great. Congratulations to Mr. Fairgray's husband. And then, Bill and I did speak with George O'Connor, who has some pretty cool comics related to. I got Steve blocked me out of this one. Yeah, I got the last copy. I got the last copy. But he has a lot of comics about like Viking, like Norse gods, Greek gods, but then also is working with this publisher that looks at modern democracy and looks at American politics and provides really sort of like
this looks really cool.
It's like a great way of illustrating why we're in the state that we're in, how to kind of interact, how to kind of, work within the system that we're in, and also kind of explaining how we got there, which is kind of interesting. So there's that. Also spoke with a really cool guy, Reed Chancellor, who's a punk musician, cartoonist, bought several of his books about being diabetic, having some mental diagnoses, as well as, being a dad on the road with being a punk. So it's pretty fun stuff. And I think towards the end on Sunday did speak with the representative from Bloomsbury from the UK.
I wish we met this guy on Friday.
Great guy. His name was Peter Perez. And he was a hoot to talk to. They are putting out a whole line of Marvel, of books about Marvel characters, about Marvel history, history of certain characters in comics. But they also had a lot of really great other topics, and ended up getting as a gift, You Can't Kill the Boogeyman, which is the history of the Halloween movies. So great for the Bear
These
Cave
are
of Terror.
academic books at academic prices. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm like super grateful for this, and and
I also love talking to Peter because we are from the same area.
Yeah. So from the same county.
We just went off on that for like 20 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, they talked about like what schools they went to, and like, I know this, and like,
you went to Bergen Catholic, but only for a year. Yeah, only for half a year.
Exactly. It was wild. So very grateful to have met him. But yeah, I mean, I got a couple of posters here and there, and a couple other things, but I was happy at the show. I found some good stuff, and a bunch more Warren mags, and I'll be talking about one later.
All right, cool. Yeah. How about you, Caleb?
Yeah, so I met up with a few people there and got some really cool stuff. I'm going to save one of them. Are we? Is this the full Geek Gets thing, or are we doing a Geek Gets thing before we log off?
No, this is Geek Gets.
Okay, so I'll go show him. But I also got to catch up with Steve Bryant. I went ahead and picked this up. I've got most of these singles through the Kickstarter, but the trade of Evie and the Helsings. I love this story. Don Cardenas did a great job with it, and of course, because he's him, he sent me home with some sweet swag and stuff with it. But I saw him the last day. Just finally turned the corner, and there he was. But it was great catching up with him in person. We love Steve a whole lot. Also, one of the things that I'm super excited about, I haven't looked at it yet. We'll see how it goes. I'm a big fan of Mark Morales. Mark Morales, if you don't know who he is, he's a very mainstream inker, has worked on a ton of stuff for Marvel. And this is actually something that maybe we can bring up in a different conversation sometime, but when we think about the pantheon of like great inkers and stuff like that, well, inking's not as much of a thing anymore. So Mark Morales might be the last great inker, which is kind of a weird concept, but he has a solo or his own series. So I'm going to check it out. It's a creator-owned thing. Did it with Sahad Shah. It's called Until You Die. So picked up a copy of that. Check it out. I've never read anything Mark has written, so that ought to be fun. I went and picked up from Audra Stang. I picked up a few things off Audra's table, including the Audra Show, issues 1 through 6. If you don't know Audra, like the work, it's super cartoony, but Audra is just extremely amazing, fun to talk to, just to chit chat with, has a great style, has great stories, complicated stories. It's super, super fun. I got a copy of the Black Metal Omnibus. That's by Rick Spears and Chuck Beebe. Again, this is just an over-the-top, ridiculous cartoon that started off as a webcomic at one point in time, and it eventually just became enough that they can put it into an omnibus. It's fun, it's quirky, it's irreverent, I love it. So I've got it. The thing that kind of broke the dam and got me to actually start spending a little bit of money at this con is I found a typo negative Bloody Kisses 30th anniversary slipcase cover of the typo negative comic that they did for Bloody Kisses. I'm a huge typo negative fan. I absolutely adore Peter Steele. I've got most of the records. It's my type of music. Well, this is Z2 put out a series of just books about typo negative written by people who love typo negative. It's like an anthology series, so got it. It's got some cool swag, because you're gonna make a slipcase. So there's all of these different headshots by different artists or the people who worked on this book of the band. So a little fun crossover of metal and comics. And then last but not least, certainly not least, is actually one of the things I'm most excited about. One of the booths that actually had some kind of cool stuff that you don't see everywhere all the time. They have this really cool, hardcover bookshelf, and you can find all kinds of neat things there. I found this really, really, really nice copy, like hardcover copy of Super Spy by Matt Kent, just kind of tucked in the back and hidden away. It's the omnibus. It's really cool. I love Matt Kent. I started reading, I've read Matt Kent before, but it was really in law school when I started reading Matt Kent. And what law school does with your brain as far as like reprogramming it to look for things. Like I got really into spy books in law school because it's, can you make the connections and follow things? Read a lot of Matt Kent in law school. So I was able to talk to Matt and just be like, hey, your work, like, is super intriguing, got me through a lot of that hardship. Signed the book, did the doodle, inside of that whole thing, bought a page from him. That's probably one of my favorite things from this con, other than some of the art that I got, which is tucked away and stuff like that. You really couldn't see it well here anyway. Check my Instagram. I'll scan some of it in, so we'll go from there. But Super Spy, if you've never read this, do it. Go remedy that. And it's this amazing hardcover. There's a wraparound kind of thing for it. And it's got all these different holes and stuff in it. Well, there's 12 different hidden messages inside the copy of the hardcover. And he punched out a code for me to use as a guide for the messages. So I've got to go do that at some point, in my abundance of free time. So
be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
Right. But yeah, those are most of my gifts. Picked up a bunch of zines and stuff just randomly. But yeah, I had a blast just walking and talking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is pretty. I love my typo negative book.
Mm-hmm. That slipcover. I mean, just the whole thing just looks really premium. So that's pretty awesome. C2's put out some good stuff.
I'm just wondering, Caleb, how much did you pay for that?
I paid for this. I paid $50. Was it $60?
That's really good. That's really good because the hardcover with the slipcase for the Blondie Parallel Lines, release that they put out, which I think is something comparable with like that was like $150.
Well, so I looked it up.
Yeah.
Like I got online and looked up to see what I could get it for because I'd never seen this, the hardcover, and it was still wrapped in plastic, but I'm not going to leave it wrapped in plastic. I want to read it. And it was anywhere from from 60 to $100, and so I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and get that. Like that's worth the buy.
You're acting like you just decided. You hemmed and hawed on that.
I did. I did because I wasn't wanting to like. I had a budget that I didn't want to spend. I already had some art out. Like I was trying to stay in in my means, and I had not been able to look at a bunch of stuff to see what they had and didn't have. So I was like, I don't know, but the price was worth it. It also doesn't hurt when you get paid, like right in the middle of the con. So it's like, here, spend more money.
And you really wanted it. You kept going back and forth. I was like, he wants that.
Yeah, no, Z2 is a fun book when it comes to these music things. Like you know what you're gonna get going into it. So. Yeah, I just need to.
As many as they put out, the only one I have is Screaming for Vengeance. That's the only one I have.
I need to get that one. I don't think did they make a slipcover of that?
I don't know.
Yeah,
so
that's fair.
If that affects your decision making,
was it Z2 that did the Motorhead book?
Yeah,
I've got that one up there too. So.
Yeah. So. Okay, so I don't have much right by me here, and I've posted some images. I'll post a few more, maybe even on the CBB feed. So Steve can verify that on was it Tuesday morning? Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, we went out and I sent some stuff to myself, which fit perfectly for once. It was like perfect. So, but there were things like Micronauts figures. I got a Marvel Legends figure of Spider-Man from the '77 show. One of the big geek scores was 10 issues of Comic Reader, like the smaller size ones from the mid '70s. But
all in a stack too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like I'll take them all. Yeah, I was like, I'll take them all. Yeah, they're mine now. And I did post on some of the boards. I'm not sure if I posted it, but one of the issues was from December 1974, and I believe this is the first announcement of Giant Size X-Men #1. And it actually lists the team. So I have those images. I don't know if that was on my own page, but I can just redo it here. But I do have some big boy books that I got. Well, one's like a little boy book, but I've slowly been collecting the original Valiant line. And some of the pre-Unity books are, they're still a little pricey. But I got a very good deal on Rye #0. So that's ticked off the list. I think I only have maybe 4 or 5 of the really valuable early stuff. So I'm getting there. The one big boy book that this was like the last minute thing. I never got this issue as a kid. I've eventually collected 2 through 25 of the original run. Never had #1. I now do have a Nova #1.
Yeah, you needed to buy that one.
Yeah, I mean, it was have every issue but this, and it was a good price, very good condition. So I was happy with that. And I am not a guy that buys slabs. I have 3. One of them is a comic I wrote. So that makes sense. But I've been a little more open to getting some slabs if it's if it's something that really speaks to me and it's a really good price. And I'm not the biggest Matt Fraction fan, but I absolutely love his Hawkeye run. Mm-hmm. And there are 2 issues that stand out to me: the one about Superstorm Sandy and the one that's told from Pizza Dog's point of view. And I got slabs. I got the Pizza Dog issue.
Nice.
For a really good price. Really good price.
One of the best issues of comics in the past 15 years, I have to say. Just a great issue.
My favorite thing of this, where you get to the credits, it just says rough in there. So this will join the Killing Joke and X-Men and the Crime Fighter Inquiry in the other room as slabs. And I think as time goes on, there's some things like I wouldn't mind an issue of Crisis on slabbed, maybe Mage.
Yeah, I can see
series
that
really. My first superhero comic was Action Comics #430. Wouldn't mind having a slab of that.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's and I got other stuff, got blind bag stuff. We'll talk about, and also some of the stuff from. It's not Artist Alley. It's Indie Alley, right?
Indie Island.
Indie Island.
Indie
Indie Island.
Island. Okay, God, I would have failed
Yes.
that. Okay,
Like my
so-
T-shirt.
Yeah.
Which was actually, this T-shirt design was done by Chris Schweitzer, who again also always fun to see. He's at HeroesCon pretty much every year and
Yeah.
always has some great stuff. And he's woofy as hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta say there was like decent eye candy at this show.
It was.
It was
There
pretty
was.
nice. Yeah, it was.
I mean,
pretty
besides the three of you here, there was
Yeah.
some other eye candy.
nice. Yeah,
yes.
no, it was nice. All right.
Yeah.
So we probably should start talking some new comic books,
I
and
guess.
I think we're going to be gracious and have our guest Brian Newberry go first. And why don't you tell us about the Rom book?
Yeah. So Rom was kind of a stealth release. If anybody has not kept up with comic news, we had Mask 1 came out. It was last week, wasn't it? It's all running together.
Yeah, I think so.
And they did a bunch of blind bags. Well, one of the blind bags was an issue of Rom #1 that nobody knew was coming. And besides Mask #1, I think they had Mask Origins. Hassan got Mask issue 2, which he was like, I can't read it because I don't have Mask #1. They had some foil covers and just some variant covers, but this was definitely the issue folks were wanting. I saw several booths selling it between 30 and $40. They had pulled copies. I am a Rom fan. If you guys cannot tell, I'm wearing a P. Craig Russell Rom shirt right now, which was my Sunday attire to the con. I did wear it for good luck while we were cracking those blind bags open, and it worked. Now it's funny, in the back, Kirkman has a little one-page just making of type, his thoughts behind this, and he flat out says, hey, I'm not a Rom fan. I'm a couple years too late to be on the Rom train, which is totally understandable. I'm slightly in that period, but Rom held a special place for me because of the Ohatmus. When I lived in Guam, when Dad was in the military, I got those early issues of Ohatmu, and I had the R and the S. So they had an entry for Rom, and they had an entry for all the Space Knights, and I just thought they were fascinating. And Mom would take me to this little comic shop on the island that was kind of open air, and they had a bunch of quarter boxes, and I found all these beat up copies of Rom. So I had a bunch of them. Never thought we'd get the omnibus. I have all three of them. But it was a licensed Hasbro character. Like, Marvel actually, the toy was nothing. Like,
Yeah.
Toy line went nowhere. The entire history and mythology of Rom was built by Marvel. IDW tried to reboot it a couple of years ago when they had the Hasbro stuff. It did not really work. Did not see this coming with the Energon verse that Kirkman's doing, which honestly I'm not reading any of. I tried Void Rivals, it wasn't for me, and I don't really want to read Transformers. I did decide to get Mask 1 just for the hell of it because it was a cool little concept, so I read that. But when I heard that there was Rom in here, I had to go grab some blind bags, and I got it. I did read it. I kind of think of it as the Dire Race are mentioned, which if you're an old school Rom fan, that was the villains. That's part of the license, but Marvel worked it in to their existing universe. Space Knights are not a part of this because those were all created by Marvel. This seems like this Rom has no memories. He's not shiny. He's not white. He's beat up, tarnished. He's missing an eye, as you can see from the cover. It's just one eye in there. And he has no memory. So you're reading this and dude doesn't know what's going on. He's just going around the galaxy helping people, and it looks like he's wearing a poncho for some reason. Well, the poncho is actually an alien that has taken to him, and he kind of uses it as a weapon and a tool, and it's kind of cool, the shit he does with it. Again, Rom's just going through helping folks out. It is going to tie into Void Rivals. I think, Steve, you have an image of him fighting some creature here. Yeah, he's saving a bunch of alien children that have been kidnapped by this thing that's going to eat them. He's eating a bunch of kids from this planet, and Rom is here to save them. And his little poncho is named Carpet, and he kind of uses it as a magic carpet. It flies around, it attacks people. It's sort of like a dog mascot type thing. It's really kind of weird. The art is cool. The story was fun. You notice in this image he is missing an arm. So this Rom is beat the hell up. And actually, just spoilers, he does kill this thing and takes his arm, and his arm attaches into his little socket there. So looks even weirder as it goes. I think he's supposed to show up in Void Rivals 33.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I actually really enjoy Void Rivals. That's the one book that I've been sticking with since the beginning. For the Energon Universe.
I just had a minor heart attack hearing that Void Rivals is on its 33rd issue.
Yeah.
It's getting up
there.
Yeah.
It feels much more recently that they had the debut. That's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But the cover of Void Rivals has the solicits had a surprise character, and it was blacked out, and you couldn't really tell because of the shape of Rom with the weird arm that he gets in here. So you had no idea that that's what they were doing. And then I will give it to Kirkman. It is hard to surprise comic folks with solicits and everything and news cycles. And he has done it 3 times I can think of, between the end of Invincible, the end of Walking Dead. Well, Walking Dead just ending, like nobody knew. And then this, just being on a blind bag.
The first Void Rivals.
Yeah.
Oh, the Transformers
book.
No one knew that. Well, and what was his other book? Firepower or whatever, where he just no one knew it was coming out, and he just sent it to retailers, and they were like, "What's this?"
Yeah, Firepower. That wasn't the first time he had done that. He had also done that with what was the series that came out a few years ago before Firepower?
Outcast?
No. It's sort of the Sea, I think. I talked about on this podcast before.
I can picture it. I cannot think of the name.
It had 9 issues, and each one was more insane than the last one. They were absolutely ridiculous. It was a secret government agency that was, working behind the scenes, stopping international threats. But it was just such an absolute whack job kind of comic, and I loved it because it was one of those things where I think they had only sent to the retailers, if you had ordered so many of one book, then you would get this issue number 1. And there was no other way to order the first issue. So it showed up as a big surprise to everybody.
Was it Skinbreaker?
No.
Not that?
No, we're talking several years ago.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking Oblivion Song, but that went a lot longer.
Yeah, that one.
It actually came out with Oblivion Song. So it was Oblivion Song number 1. That if you ordered so many of that, then you got this.
Yeah, I remember that.
I'm not seeing anything on the list here. That's along those lines.
Is, my goodness, what was it called? That's going to drive me nuts because now I can't think of it. But yeah, it was one of those surprise things coming up from Skybound.
Jacket?
Nope.
Okay, because that predates anyway.
That's tied to Invincible.
I'm sure people are listening to this screaming it's it's got to be this one.
What was that? What was that terrible book he did with Liefeld?
It's not that.
What was the name of that?
Steve, there's one he has starts with a C, but it's out now. It's Capes, but I'm not sure if that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, I'm looking it up in my database right now.
Yeah. I'm not exactly the world's biggest Kirkman fan, so I don't know the answer to this question.
I'm hit or miss with him. I either really I love Battle Beast, but some of the other stuff like Invincible, I love Walking Dead, but Oblivion Song, I was just kind of ambivalent. It varies. But yeah, it is kind of just amazing how often he is able to put out a surprise nowadays, and it's nice because we don't get that. We just don't get it at all anymore.
No, I think it's really important to have that kind of sense of surprise, but also the acknowledging that people who make comics are still having fun with it, and are able to just do kind of like goofy, fun, off the wall things like this that are unexpected, and just I think make people excited to go to the store and see what they have, and that's especially when they're not really soliciting it or are hiding some things in solicit, where you actually do have to go and you have to go buy your copy in order to know exactly what's going on. I think it's cool.
The series with Liefeld was The Infinite La Bam.
That tracks.
Yeah.
Well, Bill, along these lines, didn't you get some blind bags too?
Yeah, I did. While Steve's researching that, and
I
a
found
lot
it.
of the what was it?
Of course he did.
Die. Did not start with a C. It started with a D. It's Die. Yes, from 2018. Sorry.
I thought that was what Caleb said initially. No? Okay. All right. Well, back in St. Olaf. Okay.
You wrote it with Chris Burnham, so Chris Burnham on that one.
All right. So I submitted when I saw Brian had the 5 blind bags. I had bought one previously, and I thought that's not enough. So I ended up getting 3. I didn't go all out, but I got 3. And while we were at the same vendor, that's when Steve picked up one as well, and he had already picked up a Mark Spears related book. So what I got when we opened the M.A.S.K blind bags was that I got 2 copies with different covers. I got the main and then one of the incentive covers for M.A.S.K #1. But I also got the other one of the other 2 exclusive issues, and that was M.A.S.K Origins. Now, Steve, I'll talk about M.A.S.K 1 first. So what do we got in M.A.S.K 1? So it does follow the M.A.S.K concept from the 80s of these incredibly powerful racing machines that basically facilitate the adventures. There were 2 sides of the coin with M.A.S.K. There were M.A.S.K, and then there was their arch enemies Venom. So we have here Matt Tracker, which, from what I understand, has already appeared in the Energon Universe, and did a racial swap. Originally Matt Tracker was white. It didn't matter one bit with the with the storyline. And as we see here, he has the U.S. government chasing him, and they cannot believe how fast his vehicle's going. Steve, if you can go to the next one. Basically, there's a whole regiment going after him, and he's able to avoid for so long. In the past, M.A.S.K worked with. In the past, Matt Tracker worked with another individual in the government named Miles Mayhem, and not necessarily a protege relationship, but he learned a lot from Miles in the creation of these vehicles, and he eventually left because of the purpose. Because Miles Mayhem is a bit of a conspiracy theorist and wants to use these to basically run the world, in almost like a bwahaha manner. And all the while, this ties into the larger Energon story of G.I. Joe being a government unit that's fighting Cobra and other threats, and the Transformers making their appearances on Earth. So if we keep going here, Steve, you can go to the next one. This shows where Matt has basically escaped the U.S. government. Initially, General Flagg from G.I. Joe was trying to recruit him, especially because of the threat that apparently Miles Mayhem has become, and his growing organization. But Matt was just waiting for vehicles to come get him out of the Hoosgow here, which he does. But the next panel is really interesting. So again, they tried to recruit Matt onto their side. Steve, if you can go to the next panel, what he leaves General Flag with was a welcome to the M.A.S.K unit Agent 42. So who exactly recruited who here? Steve, I think if you can go to the next panel, that's where we start with M.A.S.K origins. And also there's also a parallel line with Miles Mayhem doing some interrogations, some through agents that he has out in the field, and some personally, and it really shows how depraved an individual he is. Again, we've already mentioned that some blind bags had M.A.S.K number 2, some blind bags had ROM number 1, some other blind bags though had M.A.S.K origins number 1, and this is a little bit of a strange combination. It combines previous appearances of characters related to M.A.S.K in the Energon Universe already. Kicks off with an original story with Hutch and Clutch, which are apparently like really beloved characters within Energon that have a past relationship with Matt Tracker. And it basically provides the setup of what led to the formation of M.A.S.K and what led to the formation, or at least the reveal of the formation of Venom. Steve, if you can go to the next one, panel, I would appreciate it. So here, this is where Hutch and Clutch are, they're basically they're like a tag team of a mercenary and a transformer. Steve, are you familiar with these characters at all, since you have read stuff?
Yeah, these characters were in G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
He basically came across the Transformer randomly along, I forget where they were. I think they were hiding out from Cobra. And so he actually kept it secret from the rest of G.I. Joe for a while that this Jeep that he was driving was actually a Transformer. But during the Dreadnought War, he revealed himself and they revealed that they've been kind of doing other work as a team secretly. So, yeah.
And I get to merit the Transformer's name is not Hutch, it's Hound.
Yeah.
And I really thought, like, at least humor-wise, the best parts of this book of Origins number 1 was with them. Now, I was too old for Transformers and G.I. Joe as a kid. I was already a teenager when that stuff hit. I'm fucking old.
Yeah.
But for some reason with M.A.S.K, usually because of the comic, the complimentary comic that came out from DC, I know a little bit more about the M.A.S.K legend. So Steve, if you can go there to the next image, and this is where Miles Mayhem is basically reading Flag, the Riot Act, and he's the smartest man in the universe. He's on his own path, blah blah blah. If you can go to the next image. Okay, so why was Bill? This is a great image. I think you might have left one out, where Flag is, just with one figure is stopping his bullshit. Miles Mayhem is a powerful man, but he ain't G.I. Joe leadership powerful. So I thought there was another image, but if you can go back to one of the Miles Mayhem images, why did Bill follow M.A.S.K? Well, Bill has a type. And a lot of
it's
that,
a little obvious.
Yeah, Bill has a type, and that's why I followed M.A.S.K in the 80s. I actually have not seen that many animated episodes of the original, just because for some reason in the market I was in, I think it like left the air in 13 weeks, which was weird. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, gloves, white hair, Bill has a type. So I also like this version of Miles because even more than the IDW version, which expanded upon his backstory far more than what we had in the 80s, he's next to a psychopath. But there's also a reason why he can get things done. It's because there is a charm there. So I think at least from the beginning I'm in for M.A.S.K. I'm not reading anything else. I only picked up Void Rivals number 1 and the free comic book day when IDW had the Revolution and First Strike. I got most of those issues, but I didn't really fall in love, and especially because, as Brian cited before, it's Rom, sort of, it's Micronauts, sort of, but it's not really what we grew up with. And not that it has to be a carbon copy, but I think it lacked the spirit, even if there are legal prohibitions about how far they can go with some of the well-established concepts in the original comics runs. But I both with the Origins and the #1, I think I'm in for. I think I'm in for the short haul, at least with that. I thought Dan Waters did a really good job in, not necessarily world building, but filling you in with enough information that you were like, oh, just because I don't have Transformers, I don't know what the hell's going on. I never felt that at all. So
yeah, fitting in with the greater G.I. Joe, Transformers, Energon Universe. I think he did a good job of slotting it in.
Yeah, and as we said, Steve got an issue of M.A.S.K. 1, and yeah. So, but have you read that yet? Steve, have you read it yet?
Yes, I have. Yeah. I liked it, and I think again, it's working pretty well in establishing M.A.S.K. as part of this, and it doesn't feel shoehorned at all. I mean, it feels like a pretty natural extension of the story so far for everybody. So, yeah. All
right, Steve, you have the mic, so why don't you go with your next book?
Okay.
Brian, it looked like you were trying to get something in there. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I didn't read the G.I. Joe or Transformers 2 as well, Bill. Like, I've only read M.A.S.K. I thought it did a good job of establishing, it's tied to both of them, but you don't have to. This is telling you everything you need.
Yeah.
And I'll probably, just like you, read a couple issues. The thing missing from Micronauts and ROM when it's not at Marvel is Marvel created so many other characters that they can't use that you miss them when they're not there.
Yeah,
like
right.
ROM's entire world was created by Marvel, and some of the best Micronauts were created by Marvel, and they can't go with the line. So.
And it's also frustrating because, like, when they have used those characters, they do have full rights to. Like Bug and Arcturus Ran and Marionette.
Yeah.
It's like I've always felt like they were handled by people that never read the Micronauts. It almost has that they're not getting the spirit and the overall fun of those concepts. Which is sad because I think especially with Micronauts it could still work. All right, Steve, take it away with your book now.
So, I think Caleb and I, our books are actually stuff that we have picked up at the con and just were blown away by or just really enjoyed. And, the booth that I went and got this t-shirt at, they were doing screen printing, but also, some of the attendees there, Nate Hill, Mervyn McCoy, Donson Chen, they also had their own book. That they were promoting, and that is Giant Robot Warrior Maintenance Crew. And if you're kind of like questioning the ridiculously long title, if I can find it here, that's
a thing now. Like the longer the title, it's hilarious. They just
it's the higher the hair, the closer to God version in comics. Yeah, but basically, it's for fans of 70s, 80s, 90s super robot shows where you have like the crew of pilots who are really cool and they combine into a giant robot that's protecting the universe. And it's kind of about that, but more so it's about the people who actually work on the robot to make sure that it actually, goes. So specifically it's the maintenance crew that actually lives inside the robot while they're having their adventures. So the pilots themselves, they are an absolute disaster of a group of people. They're self-centered, they're selfish, they're debaucherous, and they also are the main characters of their own stories. Whereas, the maintenance crew kind of has to make things work so that they don't all blow up, because the pilots are terrible at their jobs. And so their giant robot, who you actually never see from the outside, it's pretty clever in that you kind of have to imagine what it looks like on the outside, because on the inside it's enormous. They have to go and protect the power core, but they also have to fend off a parasite infestation from the crotch area that has now spread to the left hand and left arm area. They're not sure how. And also, the blaster sword is constantly leaking, massive bouts of radiation that they have to protect themselves from, and patch it up with duct tape so that it can keep, being used against space pirates or giant alien flotillas or whatever. And of course, it's a thankless job, and it concerns itself with a new, maintenance worker who just joined out of college and has become part of this ragtag group of, I would say, kind of jaded, very disgruntled maintenance workers that are led by probably one of the sexiest drawn characters that I've seen in a very long time in a comic like this, the character of Jeb. You can kind of see in the corner with all the big old muscles punching things that look like the Brood, which are actually the crotch parasites that have grown to large size. But you've got the pilots themselves, very Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, Super Sentai coded, Voltron coded, characters. And then you've got, and I decided to put up the sketch gallery here to kind of show you some of the other crew members who we don't spend a lot of time with. We do spend a bunch with Jeb, who is covered in hair. He is a full daddy bear worth of body hair that is working through a lot of the challenges that they have to put up with. You've got Stevie, who is just a loudmouth, sarcastic super tech, and then you've got the rest of the clowns down there. The gentleman whose shirt is mostly off, and he kind of looks like Logan a little bit. He's gone slightly insane, and so he narrates everything. So all of the editorial boxes, all of the narration that you see, is actually him just narrating everything that's going on, and the other characters do comment on it about how annoying it is. So this is just a fun, hilarious book, featuring a couple of the adventures of this crew, and I cannot recommend it enough. The characters are fun. The situations are goofy. There's an accountant that's gone insane, and wears a tutu and has a pet, crotch parasite, that he's obsessed with the princess, who's one of the pilots. It's such a ridiculous situation, and it's so well written. I think Nate Hill, Mervyn McKay, Donson Chen, I think they did a great job with this comic, and I want to see more of this world, and I hope that they do get to do a lot more, because it's a blast. But yeah, I picked this up at the con. You can get this through cosmictimes.net. This is actually the collected trade of the first 3 issues. So if you're interested in picking up something like this, if you like giant robot shows or comics or cartoons, this is up your alley, because it shows you kind of the other side of things that isn't as pretty, and is just a lot funnier than you'd expect. So check it out. Giant Robot Warrior Maintenance Crew.
Steve, I gotta ask, did you ever read Shin Zero from Magnetic?
No. Is that similar?
Yes, it very much is. It's French people doing their version of Super Sentai, but it's
nice.
Matteo Babelet, one of my favorite creators. He doesn't do the art, but he does the story. I'll send you, I did the Kickstarter with the fancy slipcase and all that, but you can get the trade for like $20 off Amazon, and there's going to be 3 volumes. But
awesome!
This is right up the alley of what you're talking about. Slightly different, but in the same.
That's great. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that I love. I love the the unsung heroes that really are just sort of like, really, we're the glue, we're the duct tape that holds everything together. Those kinds of tales are just a lot of fun to read. So, Caleb, your turn.
Yeah, sorry. So when I was lurking through Artist's Alley, trying to scope out some artists with some pretty decent prices to get some jam pieces done, I saw a sign, just kind of caught my eye with a guy's name on it, Connor Herbison, and it was kind of this cool looking, violent Conan type of situation. So I was like, okay, I'm working on a Conan jam. Let me go see what this guy's got. Well, I walk over to his table. I really dug his stuff, introduced myself. We kind of got to talking for a little bit. And so I was like, yeah, I like the Conan stuff. And he's like, oh, well, check out my book, Rajik's Demons. And so I grabbed it. I flipped through and I was like, I really like the art. So I was like, what's the story? And like his elevator pitch of the story was, well, it's kind of like a fantasy, a post-apocalyptic fantasy world, but about generational trauma. And I was like, yeah, sold. So let me take that home. So this book was great, right? And so I looked up online. I couldn't find any good copies or good, Google didn't really have any images of it. So I just took a few pictures myself. But so Rajik's Demon is a story about Rajik, right? And he is this, again, he's basically if you think in D&D terms, he's either a knight or a ranger, right? Like he's got a sword. He's walking through the muck and the mire, like going through some shit. And it looks at first like a very D&D-esque world, and he's kind of narrating to himself as he goes through this. He's talking about missing his dad. His dad has disappeared, and then his mom left, and he blames the fact that his dad disappeared on why his mom left, and things were so hard because she went looking for him and stuff. But as he's walking through the woods, he comes upon what might be like an abandoned gas station or something like that. So you kind of get the feeling like this is in the future, like this is our future, but everything is reverted to, just ruin and basically medieval weaponry at this point as he's walking through. And so what you come to find out is as he, opens a door and finds some type of nasty in there that wants to kill him, he is kind of following in his mom's footsteps, and he's become a treasure hunter, which is what she had to do after his dad left. And so he's searching for this one type of particular treasure that she went after. And he finds where she went. And on the outside, you can see a name carved into a stone, and it's her name. And so he follows her in there, and he's working through the dungeon, right? Trying to get to the final boss, hacking and slashing his way through. It comes to a point to where, he's facing the big bad boss, and it kind of just envelops him, and he, kills it. And on the back end of it, you find out that this being, just kind of not really spoil it, but this being is connected to him, or at least connected to the legacy and the memory of his mother in some way. In a lot of ways, it's cyclical. And there's a really neat twist on the last page of this book where, in case you don't get your hands on this, he becomes the thing that was guarding this type of missing treasure. So super cool artwork. But the neat thing about Connor Herbison is apparently Connor is multi-talented, has a couple of different styles. Like he has this like heavy ink kind of nib style, but he also does a really cool cartooning type of style too. He had a couple of different books at his desk and kind of is able to switch what he's doing there a little bit. And that takes a lot of talent to not just kind of go in one direction, especially with this kind of thing. So I ended up putting him on not my Conan jam, but I put him on my Gargoyles jam. And he hooked me up with a pretty cool Hudson from the Gargoyles world. See if he'll jump off the big screen. I'll throw it up here. So if you can see that, Connor Herbison kind of took that style and cartoonized it a little bit and gave me another square on my Gargoyles jam, which is really like him. So you can find him on Instagram. You'll just type in Connor Herbison. You'll see, it'll get you to him. You'll see some of his pictures from HeroesCon. There is a link to an Etsy store. I looked up, or at least I tried to follow it through. I didn't see a link to this book, but I'm sure if you want a copy, you can shoot him a DM, work out a deal. He'll either be able to tell you where he's shipping out of or how he's doing online orders, or maybe just get him to send you one. Super cool, up and coming dude. When I got on his Instagram just to kind of see what was going on there is a HeroesCon post. It's liked by Jorge Corona, is talking back and forth to him. So up and coming dude, right? Like this is somebody that I think we'll see on a different level in relatively the very near future. So I could very much see that happening. there are cool comic artists who know who this guy is, and I think that they're going to help him out in the industry. So check him out. Connor Herbison, give this dude some love, buy some of his stuff, access it, support him.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
Caleb, outside of the book that you're talking about, I just want to say I absolutely love the format of your Gargoyles jam piece.
Thank you. Yeah,
I really
100%.
love that. Yeah.
Yeah,
because I know
really
the instinct is to go like 9 panels or whatever.
Yeah.
But I really love that format. It's really clever.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've got some of the 9-panel format, so I'm doing a Hulk. That's actually 12-panel and stuff like that. But the one that I need to get cracking on and get some more work to it is I'm doing a Lone Wolf and Cub that's kind of like that Gargoyles, except in the middle of it, it's the Lone Wolf and Cub kanji, and I'm doing characters kind of all around that. And so I'm going up to the different artists and tell them, hey, who was your favorite, villain or fight from that book? And usually I'll take a book or two with me, and they'll say, oh, I like this person. I'm like, we'll draw them up. And I'm getting them to do watercolorists to do it. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool work in progress. Jam pieces are great. It's getting pricey to do them. It used to be you can get a jam piece done, you spend $20 or $30 on a small square. You're doing bigger stuff, you're going to pay more. And then some people are just like, yeah, I'm not drawing anything for less than 50. And so it's starting, like the art industry is pricey. It prices a lot of people, including me, out, but you can find some really great deals out there. Like he charged me like $30 for that. I'm not mad about that. So.
Well, I'm always impressed with seeing, some of the stuff that you're able to get with your jam pieces. I've been watching the Gargoyles one over the past couple of years, get further and further completed. You just need the 2 more. So
yeah, I need 2 more spaces, and I need, the top row colored. Those artists did not color it. And so I got to get it colored when it's all said and done. But I got Freddie Williams on that motherfucker. So you can't tell me shit.
Seriously. Awesome.
All right, fellas, we're up against the clock here, so I know we prepared like second book, but we can do them as quick recommendations.
Oh yeah.
Here, so my quick recommendation is from somebody else, and I don't exactly know where Steve and Jeff was exactly Indie Island.
They were just outside.
Yeah, they were just outside.
They were just outside by a few. Yeah.
But my friend Jeff Messer, he, I kind of got to talking with him initially on social media because we're both playwrights, and I knew he had that background. If you go to conventions, I don't know if he's Mike Grell's manager or minder or what, but if you ever go to a con and you see Mike Grell, you'll see Jeff sitting next to him, and Jeff is a creator in his own right. And I got the first 2 issues of his book, Adventure for Hire. Now, as you can tell from the graphics here, it's very Raiders of the Lost Ark. What to set this apart, though, is I think a lot of Raiders type stories spend so much time ensuring that they're a love letter to the Raiders of the Lost Ark that they'd lose themselves in their own story, and it feels hackneyed. This did not feel that at all because the characters are very fleshed out. You can go to the Kickstarter page under Adventure for Hire Comics or Adventure for Hire, and you can, I imagine, if not just contact Jeff, you can get the first 2 issues. Also, one thing I have to say is this cardstock is absolutely beautiful. It is, this is going to survive a war. These books. I mean, really impressive packaging with that, and there are 4 core characters in the book. So I'm really interested in seeing, what goes on with Thal Dalton and the archaeologist Walter St. John, his son Spencer, and the deadly Iranian femme fatale that saves their butt at least once in the first 2 issues, Adira. I really enjoyed this. And like I said, if you like Raiders of the Lost Ark, you're going to love this. We've talked in the past many times about Athena Voltaire. This definitely is in that wheelhouse. But the thing I really appreciated in Jeff's writing is that the characters were so fleshed out. And again, it didn't operate solely as a love letter. So I recommend these. Adventure for Hire 1 and 2.
Awesome.
All right. Over to Steve.
Well, the past couple of years, I've actually been getting more into picking up a lot more of the magazines, comic magazines from the 70s and the early 80s, heavy metal, creepy, eerie, other stuff from Warren as well that I've been able to pick up, sometimes some of the Marvel Illustrated stuff, and the DC, premium graphic formats. But, I decided to just take a look at one of the creepies that I picked up. And so this is actually, issue number 106, which, if you've never seen a creepy magazine before, these were from Warren that were put out. They did not have to be approved by the Comics Code Authority. So they didn't have to submit anything, even though the Comics Code Authority was technically voluntary. They didn't need to worry about that. They were looking more for an adult market, older teens, that kind of thing. People who remembered EC Comics, perhaps, but just it had a really great feel to it, a really cool vibe. And creepy here, this was a swords and sorcery special, so it had a lot of stories that were kind of more fantasy geared, even though they also did have some sci-fi in there. But I mean, you've got a list of creators in here. You've got, Bob Toomey, you've got Larry Hama, you've got Jim Starlin. I mean, these are all contributing, different stories to this anthology. And there's some really cool, beautiful art here. This art here, this is Quimby the Barbarian, which was the first story. Pablo Marcos, did this splash page, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And then you also had a story from Larry Hama that's sort of very, Last Samurai, Rashomon kind of tale, that is just perfect, and a lot of fun. But of course, because this is an original, issue from 1979, you do get a lot of really cool advertisements. There's, and I'll show you on the back, but there's also throughout it, you have Superman, because of course the Superman film had just come out, recently, but there were a lot of like Superman collection items, records, treasury editions, posters, movie book, merchandise, sheets, Star Wars. They had Star Wars sheets that were being advertised all throughout this. But one of the funnier ads that I saw was this one, Monster Briefs in color, the best dressed fiend from shirts to shorts. You could get creepy, famous monsters, eerie, whatever, branded tidy whities, for the guy who has everything, truly. So Bill, I mean, like this is ridiculous, but also really fun. I think you probably would have been looking at this going like, should I get something like this? Probably not. I don't know what would happen if you ever, came across any of these in the wild. They're probably long disintegrated, by now, but it would be kind of cool to see something like this.
Look, we've all seen a guy with a monster in his pants, but I don't want to see one that's creepier.
Yeah, creepy. And it's pretty creepy in his pants, but yeah. I just thought it was just.
I disagree. I wouldn't mind saying I encountered a famous monster.
if I get you a bed more than that, we're fixing to have some fun.
No. Yeah. If there's a monster in his pants, sure, but I'm not wanting to open that up and have something creepy down there.
I don't know. He took his pants down. It was pretty eerie. But yeah, no, I just thought this is it's fun. It's a time capsule. The stories are great. You can come across great artists and writers in here, who may have been writing for the big two at the same time, or maybe right after this. But it's cool. It's cool to read. And I love picking them up because they're fun. They're fun to go through.
Very nice.
So, yeah.
All right. Over to Caleb.
Yeah, so one of the other creators I stopped by is actually a guy that's become a buddy. And so I wanted to go check out his booth and grab some stuff from him. And that's my friend Tony Ayupi, I think is how you pronounce his last name. Brian, you may know as well.
Ayupi is what I hear.
Ayupi, yeah. So Tony's a comic artist, very indie, does his own thing, helps publish his own thing, and so I went by his booth just to say hi, picked up some stuff from him, including a copy of Haint Tales #2. This is kind of an anthology. It's just a mixture of comics and art that Tony has done. It's been published in other places, including in Clusterfucks Comics. Shout out to John Westhoff for that. So one of those is in here as well. He's gonna send me 40 different links now because I mentioned his name. Tony's doing some really great work. These comics are fun. They range the gamut of sci-fi, horror, interesting things. He breaks the third wall in really cool ways, and some of those you can check out more of his stuff at auppy.com. That's AIUPPY.com. But yeah, there's one of these that's about zombie Jesus. There's one that's cowboys fighting a T-Rex, that's fighting an elephant. There's one where a guy's watching like an old school kind of Steamboat Willie's comic that comes to life, jumps out of the TV and strangles him. It's really good work. There's a Fumetti comic in here. There's a collage comic in here. So Tony's doing a lot of stuff, like a lot of zine style stuff. Dude, go to his website, support him, pick this up. It's really fun, really good indie comics. And the one that's on the screen right now that Steve's showing you, I absolutely loved this. The story was hilarious. I laughed out loud at this moment. It's got a carnival barker guy, and he's basically selling sin. People are saying sign one up. He's like, just one catch. You got to worship Satan, and then it shows all these dudes sucking Satan's dick. So I laughed out loud. It was great. So Tony, if you ever catch wind of this, the fact that we talked about it, man, well done. Cool stuff. I hope you get some support off this. Make more of this, man. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Very nice. All right. Well, we're heading into the end of our ride with the Comic Book Bears episode tonight. And when we do wrap up an episode of the Comic Book Bears, we do so with a segment we call the Woofs of the Week. In the bear community, if you find a fellow attractive, you woof at him. And we do something very similar where we woof at something, which might be comic book or comic book related, might be a film, might be a TV program, charitable initiative, anything under the sun that we think you, fair listener or viewer, may be interested in sampling. I usually pass this off to Steve, but we have a gift. We have a guest who is a gift.
And he's also present.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Mr. Brian, what is your woof of the week?
My woof of the week has been mentioned like 5 times by Caleb, so mine is Hayden Sherman. They have made some news this week, and it's the first time I've ever seen them in person, and it was unexpected. Honestly, not to be all physical, but they are not my type. But oh my God, for some reason, they were clicking some buttons when I saw them. They were a very attractive person. But also, they made some news this week. DC has announced a new Legion of Superheroes book, which I have been eagerly awaiting, with Joshua Williamson, and Hayden is doing the art. And while it is not the classic team that I was hoping for, the team still looks cool visually. I am excited for the book. And how many artists do we get that actually do 2 books a month? Like Hayden will still be doing Absolute Wonder Woman. Now they have breaks in between, but in between arcs. But yeah, it's
not everybody
cool.
can be Dan Mora.
I know there's very few, but yeah, I'm excited for that Legion book. That was my news, but I wanted to tie it into Hayden because yeah, they were an attractive person to say the least.
Nice. All right, over to Steve. Steve, what is your woof of the week?
Well, my woof of the week is actually a film that my husband and I saw on Friday night. It was not Toy Story 5. We didn't go and see that one, even though every single other person at the theater was there to see Toy Story 5, or to buy one of those insane popcorn buckets that are actually just Buzz Lightyear in Buzz Lightyear packaging with a full doll inside. But anyway, but we did go and see The Death of Robin Hood, which stars Hugh Jackman, and it is very much like medieval Logan. I think it's probably the closest thing I can say, with the gore and the filthy, barbaric kind of feel of The Northman, if you remember that movie, that retelling of Hamlet from several years ago. That was pretty gritty. But this one, it's a beautiful film. The first maybe 30 minutes of it are some of the most violent and gory that I've seen in any non-horror movie. But I would say maybe the last 20, 30 minutes of this are just gorgeous and emotionally moving. And I shed some tears at this. And so Death of Robin Hood, absolutely I do recommend. It's not for everybody, but it will make you think after you've finished watching it. In fact, you might even think, did I actually like it, or was I just horrified the whole way and couldn't look away? So, yeah.
All right. Over to Caleb. Caleb, what is your wolf of the week?
All right, so my wolf of the week, I'm going to stick with HeroesCon, right? Some stuff that I got at HeroesCon, or things at HeroesCon, and so I'm gonna do that thing where I have a sub wolf and a wolf. My first sub wolf goes out to a sweetheart, somebody who I love dearly and who apparently loves me dearly. I'll let them out themselves if they want to. Who got me a Red Tornado signed by it's the postcard Red Tornado signed by George Perez. Bill saw this walking around the con and thought of me and then brought it up to me. I love this. I've got stuff signed by George Perez. I've met him one time. George Perez is my key into comics. I love him. Bill, this has such deep meaning. Thank you, and I love you dearly. The other wolf of the week is another artist that I found. Again, other people, my friend Ray discovered this guy and got a piece by a Humpty Hump hip hop piece by him, and he was like, "Dude, this guy's prices are sick. They're ridiculous. They're low. His work is amazing. You need to go see him." What I love about HeroesCon is every time I go, I end up finding new people who are amazing artists who are just kind of breaking in or who have been around for a while, but they're somebody that I haven't met before or seen because it's on the other side of the world from me, right? And this time that person is Steven Beezer. He goes by the name Beezer. You can find him at Steven Beezer on Instagram. He also kind of runs a publishing house, Trash City Manga. Which I got, here's their card. Type in Trash City Manga or Steven Beezer. They'll hook you up. The dude is insane and insanely priced. I appreciate him keeping it low for me, but the dude needs to up his price. So I got a strong guy from him. I paid $20 for this.
Gorgeous.
It's ridiculous. And it's all done in pen and ink. But the best thing, I commissioned him. He had the strong guy waiting at the table, but I commissioned him for a piece that I thought he would kill. I wanted a Bootsy Collins piece. I'm collecting a lot of comic art versions of musicians now. And this is what he handed back to me. Just Bootsy Collins as Infinity. This could be in 2000 AD. The work is ridiculous. It's detailed. The pencil line is amazing. This dude's the real deal. He's legitimate. Super nice guy. Worked super fast. Hooked me up. Again, Steven Beezer is his name. At Steven Beezer on Instagram. At Trash City Manga on Instagram. Go get this dude's prices will go up. He's too good. He's absolutely too good for these commissions. This is going in a frame. So my wolf of the week goes out to Steven Beezer, and Bill Zanowitz of current fame.
Okay.
Of current fame.
Well, all right. Thank you for that. I attempted to go back and get the Firestorm for Steve, but I blew it. So
good.
Grab that stuff when you first see it. It just reminds me, I'm going to throw in a subwoof. On Monday, Steve and I went up to Mount Airy, North Carolina, and which is the birthplace of Andy Griffith. We went to the Griffith Museum, saw a bunch of the sites at the center, had some of the best ice cream I've ever had in my life.
At Ellie's, wasn't it? Ellie's ice cream, which is based on a Mayberry store. Oh my god, that chocolate ice cream is so good. I could not get him to go into the Chang and Eng Museum, however, which is right
because Siamese twins freak me out. Yeah.
because they are also, they settled in Mount Airy with their identical twin wives and their millions of children.
Yes, Steve could not get me to do that.
Their museum's just right across the street from Andy Griffith.
I would not do it. I would not do it.
But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. So I just wanted to throw that subwoof. But for my woof, and it is a tangential link for me to, look, now they're doing with the chompers. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dueling chompers. Now,
I think I have to get one for Brian now, too.
Also, the Cubist Flamingo says hi.
Okay. So for my woof of the week, this was a film I saw with Steve and his husband Jason on Thursday night prior to the con, and we went to see Disclosure Day, directed by Steven Spielberg, from a screenplay by David Koepp, who has been a very close collaborator with Spielberg since Jurassic Park. I think with the most recent science fiction films from Spielberg, they've been okay. AI was okay. Minority Report was okay. Ready Player One was all right. I've never seen War of the Worlds.
Super 8 was good. I like Super 8.
Yeah, he didn't direct that though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he didn't direct that. The cough was not on audio. So again, we went to see Disclosure Day, and I'm so happy to see him back mining the UFO thing. I think that's just an area that he has this sort of child's wonder, even in his. How old is he? He's like 78 or so now.
I think so.
Like around that, even
He's
at that
up there.
advanced age, that he has like a child's wonder about certain topics. I thought Emily Blunt. I think that's an Oscar caliber performance in a film genre that really isn't, kind to Oscar appreciation. Let's put it that way. And it basically tells a story of some individuals have come against an institution named Wardex that has basically been suppressing information about the existence of aliens since the 1940s. And I can understand people not necessarily cottoning to it. It's not for everybody, but I thought in terms of balancing the notion of conspiracy theory with just a really good action tale behind it, I thought it succeeded really well there. And I don't see that many movies in the movie theater anymore post-COVID. I really don't. I've seen 4 movies this year. We just don't go that often, and when you do go, you'd like to be entertained and slightly blown away. And I would say have this one, particularly Emily Blunt's performance and the last 20 minutes of the film, where the reveal about Disclosure Day occurs, I thought were really, really well handled. So that's my woof of the week, Disclosure Day.
Well, I'm hoping, Bill, that you will be going to see a movie next week.
Oh yeah, that's
we're recording this on the 21st. Next week. I already have my tickets, which is kind of wild. So or next
I actually
weekend,
won't be seeing it on the Thursday or Friday. Friday I have the Human League concert.
Oh, that's right.
But either Saturday or Sunday, or Saturday and Sunday, I will be seeing Supergirl. Yep.
Yeah, we'll be singing on Thursday night here. So I'm excited for that.
Yay. All right. Well, Mr. Brian Newberry, if people want to check out your podcast, where would they go?
They can find us online wherever they get podcasts and search for Comics Discourse 114.
And what are some of your recent and upcoming topics?
Well, I did mention we're actually coming up on our 200th episode. I cannot believe it. We are doing the road to 200 right now. So later this week, we are doing that Justice League 200 episode. That is one of Hassan's all-time favorite comics. Every month, we do Top of the Stack, which is just our current reads that we're enjoying. we just wrapped up a monthly spotlight on the first 5 volumes of Witch Hat Atelier. I don't know if y'all read much
I've heard of it.
or
Yeah,
watch
heard
the
of it,
anime, but it is wonderful. Brian and I got Hassan hooked on that one. And right before Heroes, we did some classic Claremont X-Men with the Acts of Vengeance issues where Psylocke changes from British to various Asian descent for, the next couple decades. It was a fun issue to talk about, or fun 3 issues to talk about.
Cool.
Nice. So everyone check that out. And I guess we'll just do our regular wrap up. Again, we are the Comic Book Bears podcast. You can find us on most social media as Comic Book Bears. You can find us on Facebook, though, as Comic Book Bears Podcast. If you want to listen to us, please do so through Apple Podcasts, through Spotify, and many of the other podcatching platforms. If you want to write to us, please do so by sending an email to comicbookbears@gmail.com. If you want to watch us, and if you have joined us tonight through some of our live feeds, thank you. You can always watch us on our YouTube channel, and if you do, please like and subscribe. So until next time, I'm Billy Z.
I'm Steve Morey.
I'm Caleb Alexander McKenzie.
If you're listening to the audio version, you're going to hear a woof and an explosion. We'll be back real soon. Take care, everyone.
Woof.